All right, new project, just opened it. Do a attempt for a minimal game. Just make it real quick. Not a tutorial, but I'm gonna try my best to walk you guys through what I'm doing. I'm gonna be looking stuff up the whole time. Well, maybe not the whole time, but as I need it. Anyways, let's try to make something minimal. The goal is rocket ship, meteors falling from the sky. You can use arrow keys or WASD, or I mean just A and D to move left and right. You go off one side of the screen, you appear on the other side, and that way it can be like a fun little phone game or a computer game, and then the meteors will start to fall faster and spawn more as the player goes. So let's just create our player. We have a rocket ship that I found on itch.io with somebody who said they don't need credit, so huzzah. I'm just gonna name this player, even though it is a rocket. This is what it looks like in the game. Because they're in space, I'm just gonna switch it to black. Today I'm just gonna do the character controller, make it real easy. This is gonna be the simplest controller you may have ever seen, but we will adjust things as we go. Right now we just want a box collider 2D and a rigid body 2D. This allows us to do like physics and stuff, but I'm gonna put it to kinematic for now because I'm lazy. And we can change stuff later. So yeah, now let's add our player controller. I mean, it's pretty easy. We just want it to go left and right. We could add a bunch of smoothing factors and stuff like that, but I think on our initial one, since we're gonna add a lot of stuff to it later, let's just start at basic. They don't need much. They literally just need to go left and right, so that's fine. I'll link to this rocket ship I'm using in case you guys don't want to draw a rocket ship. I actually drew a rocket ship on paper, and here I'll show it to you guys. That's my rocket ship. Oh, you're weird. Boom, rocket ship. But I'm not a digital artist, so I don't want to digitize it. The only way I can is to feed it to AI, and then AI will just give me something that was like line work stolen from other people anyway, so might as well just make it myself. All right, guys, we have a script time. Huzzah. We did it. We made it. We survived. God, I'm a weeb. Oh, no. Don't look at that. It's fine. It's fine. So on like a default script, kind of gives you some functions. Start and update. Update just runs every frame. So it's very frame dependent on how many frames you have. It will be like, you know, how many times that function's ran and all the code inside of it. For this, we just kind of need a public float. Public is just going to put it in our inspector so we can change it. And this is just going to be our speed. So I'm going to name it speed, but you can name it what you want. I'll set it to 5 for now, just to like get a nice, good default basis of what we want. In update, we're just going to assign our move inputs. So we're creating a new float of a built-in Unity thing, which is amazing. And a lot of player scripts already use it. So there's two, and there's horizontal and vertical. So horizontal, when you do it like this in a string, get access raw, and then your string, it's actually a key binded like thing inside of your Unity preferences. So here, if I press A or left arrow key, then it will give me a number between 1 and -1. So if you press A or D, A would be -1 and D would be 1. So we're going to use that to basically calculate how fast we want our player to move. And transform.translate translates the one where it kind of like moves you slowly. You could just change the transform.position constantly over time. But typically what I see is people using translate. And like I said, this is a fast player controller. Like normally you're not going to do exactly like this anyway, but because it's such a simple game, we just don't have to like worry too much, right? Oh, speed. And then time.delta time just basically normalizes things. 2.write times, what have I done? Vector is an ambiguous reference.
Huh?
For some reason, it's getting the wrong one. So we can either do Unity Engine .vector2.write, because it's trying to pull it from system numerics, because that also has it. Or I don't even think we use this, so we can get rid of it. Or if you run into this issue and you do use it, you can also just move it underneath. Oh, I lied to you. Don't move it underneath. I thought that worked. I'm so sorry for lying to you. But you can also just write Unity Engine .vector2 because it's calling from this package to use the vector2s, right? All right, in theory, this should make our character move. So, let's see. I bet they're going to move super slow. That's my guess. But also sometimes, like, if you do something wrong, they'll just, like, fly off the screen. You're like, oh, what happened? Oh, no. What did I forget to do? Oh, I forgot to multiply it by time.delta time. Damn. There we go. We moved. That's actually, like, a decent speed, too. Like, I don't even mind that. That's fine. Because so many giant meteors falling from the sky. Like, yeah, that's pretty good. All right, cool. So let's just kind of like explain this a little bit in some comments so we know. So up here we get our movements. This is between 1 and -1. So between -1 and 1. So it just gets a number between our arrow keys. And then in here, our vector2.right. So it's taking our like forward input. So if the character actually moves right, and it's either going to do it at a negative value for move input, because it's between 1 and -1, or a positive value, depending on the player direction. And then it's going to multiply by our speed and multiply it by time.delta time, and that's how fast we're moving. And then our debug log at time.delta time, this is what it looks like. And if you print time.time, you'll see the difference in the other time and why you wouldn't want to use it. Let me just play this real quick. What else do we want to add? I'm thinking we want to add some fire to it. So what I'm going to do is just come in here and we're going to go down to effects and create a particle system. This is our little particle system. Huzzah! I promise this won't look like fire at all, but it will be closer than what we had initially, which was nothing, right? So in our scene, we can have some information about our particle system. So I just switched the color to red, and now I'm going to just flip it over. It's already flipped on it. What the hell? So I'll just flip to 90 and boom, cool. We got some fire going. In here, I feel like we want a lot. The size of the particles are just like insane. Let's switch it to like 0.05, and we're gonna try and tighten the emission shape a little bit here too. There we go. A little bit better. We kind of want all of them to come from the same spot. And then our emission, this is rate over time, so how many are spawning that fast. And since we have a lot, we need a lot. And they're just going to immediately go off the screen, so we don't really need a long start time. Like, we could do like less than a second. We'll do 0.5. Perfect. And let's just move it down. So when you're in here, it's kind of goofy, but so starting with Q, your hotkeys to use these move tools are Q, W, E, R, so it's all the top row basically, and you can go through all of these tools like that. So when we want the move tool, we press W, and then we can move our thing to be down here more, right? We're actually going to attach this to the player for now. And then let's just set it to 0, see where we're at, and then we do, just lower this a little bit. If I grab the Y, it lets me lower it just slightly. Perfect. Let's change our speed. I feel like it's a little fast for them to see. There we go. That's looking better. Cool. It's got a little fire thing going on. Neat, dude. I'm gonna do 1.5. That kind of goes off the screen. Some of them do, some of them don't. Cool. I'd say it looks pretty darn mid, but you know, not too bad. Cool. All right, and this is attached to our player right now, so this is the fuel burning, I guess. And you can play around with this and make it better. There's like, this can look a lot better. You can even do start color and then make it change to a different color. So like color over lifetime, and then we can make it go to like a orange, right? So let's make it go to an orange. And we'll start with a red, I guess. So this top one is our alpha. So you can change the alpha to be like transparent. Maybe look like it's kind of going away as it gets orange. And then the bottom one is the color. So top, alpha, bottom one, color. And a really weird thing, if you have an extra one and you're like, please go away, you can press the delete key, or sometimes, like mine, the delete key's not binded for some reason, and I just drag it off the screen, and it disappears forever. So just drag it off. Boom. Huzzah. We made it. In our game, now we can move our character. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's make it look a little less terrible. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the character tilt like 5 degrees every time he every time they go left or right. So what we need to do is define between left and right. So we'll go like if moving left, right? And then based on our move input, it's gonna go moving left or right. And then it will decide the tilt factor on that. Yep. So let's define our tilt angle. For now, let's do a public float. We'll name it tilt angle, and we'll go like 5. 5 seems like, I don't know if we'll notice it, but I feel like we will for sure. Like it seems small, but I feel like we'll definitely notice it. Let's actually do the logic for this down here, because it's not going to change our like movement speed or anything. So this is like all of our movement. Move character. Wow, amazing. And then for moving left, this is just going to be if our move input. So we're going to get the value that the player is inputting on the horizontal axis. So AD or arrow keys or controller, whatever it is. If it's less than 0, then we know that they're moving left, right? And then in here, we can do our rotations. We're just going to update our rotation on the game objects. When you do transform.rotation, it's shorthand for gameObject.transform.rotation, which is just calling the game object that the script is on. So transform.rotation immediately affects this object that the script is on, which is our player. Not a pro coder. Not saying you should do this way. I'm just talking through the stuff I'm doing, and hopefully it helps you. If you literally just want a character that moves left and right, there's not many tutorials that do that. So bug it. Or maybe there's too many tutorials that's like hard to find. So in here, anything that's Euler, even though it's actually apparently pronounced Euler, but I don't like saying Euler. Oh, I ruined it. But yeah, so this right here just affects the angle itself. So in this, it would be the tilt angle, which is going to be our z-axis. So imagine your character is like the z-axis is like something going straight through them, like you threw a spear at them and the spear is sticking out, and then you rotate them from the spear. You rotate the spear. That's our tilt angle that we want to affect things. All of these, like our x, y, the z is the one we want. The x and y would be rotating it different ways, so we're not even gonna worry about that. I love that I'm doing this, guys. I'm using a 60% keyboard because my other one is going downhill right now, so we just have to suffer with this. Now, for our right, what we're gonna do here, I'll comment this in case you guys get lost or confused. Going right. Wow. Amazing. Is he really going right? All right, I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to hold control, and I'm just going to drag this in here. That creates like a little copy for me, and I can cheat. Yay. So if it's going right, we're going to do negative tilt angle. That's all I'm going to do. So this is just this is just -5. And we could just type -5, but it's always like a good practice to name something, especially because when you're in the game testing, with a public variable, we can change from the inspector, and it makes life so much better. Trust me. Because in here, we can just change everything here. We want to go fast as fuck? Boom. Right here, speed. Want the tilt angle to be 90 degrees? Boom. So an else if, we want to close it out with an else. So if our move input is just 0, like the player isn't moving, or double equals, is check. So it checks to see if the is equal to 0, rather than setting it equal to 0. Then, actually, why am I doing this? You guys got me distracted. We're going to highlight this and just drag it in here because I don't feel like typing it. Huzzah! We're going to set this to 0. My TV turned off. How dare you turn off TV? Was I looking at you? No, but I like you on. Okay, we don't actually need a statement here. I don't know why I put this. So else. So if it's not doing anything, then it's just going to play this, which is fine. Like, we don't need the else. It's just redundant code. It would have worked either way, but like, we don't need it. Now when we hit play, our character should do a little tilt as he moves. Huzzah! Let's go. Whee! Oh, he's falling forever! Oh my god! Okay, so he tilts, but the movement is still moving him downwards because it's moving directly left. So let's try and fix that. Alright, I'm gonna try and replace translate with just moving the character. Huzzah, 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 we did it. Yay. So instead of translate, we're using transformed opposition, and we're just adding our new speed and stuff every time. So every frame, it's just doing this move character code. And now we have our tilt too, which is really nice. I think that's pretty much it for our player script for now. Later we might add like power-ups and stuff like that, but you know, I don't know. Who knows? The tilt actually looks pretty good. Cool. Let's make some meteors. Wow, we have much more beautiful sprites. These are actually made from an artist I worked with. Because this was the first game I ever made. And it was actually meatballs, and it shot forks, I remember now. Yeah. And the flying spaghetti monsters who you'd fight in the end. Pretty funny. Cool, let's use these sprites. These are much better anyway. We're going to download a meatball, and we might as well download all three of these. These look pretty good. For meatballs. Download. Meteors, meatballs. They kind of look the same, huh? Shoots little forks. I love it. I accidentally grabbed some other meatballs, but you know what? It's fine. Let's make a sprite real quick. Boom, huzzah, new animation. Oh, I didn't mean to make an animation. Just a sprite, cool. We're gonna add a nice little circle collider. I feel like we'll fit nicely. And I kind of want to be generous here. How generous do I want to be? Not sure, let's edit collider and make it a little smaller than it. Because we're generous kings like that. Now our meteor has like a bit smaller of a hitbox, kinda cool. I'm gonna set it to his trigger. Because heck yeah, dude, that's why. You don't need to know why. Stop asking questions. Are you here to learn something? Rigid body 2D. Amazing. I'm going to make the... So, dynamic basically simulates gravity and like other simulations. So, you can choose what you want and then just change gravity to 0. But for this, I'm just going to start with kinematic, and we'll see if we change our mind later. I'm gonna start it up here because what we want to do is make a little meteor script. Meteor. Wow. This is gonna be pretty similar to our player script. We're gonna have a move speed. So pretty much this line right here is just gonna be missing the move input, and then it's gonna go down at that. So always way to copy that. Open up our meteor script now that it's built, and we can go to start because I just don't give a hoot. Boom. Our position exists, and we're gonna make a new variable here, public float speed. Boom. We're gonna change this to up or down. I guess you can either way. Just make it negative or positive. But since down's a built-in function, we might as well use it. And I put an L instead of equals semicolon. Holy hell! Huzzah! Now it should move downwards slowly. Let's see if it does that. Let's change this to play focus just so we don't actually have to full screen watch. We never set a speed, chat. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's coming! No! The meteor! Okay, cool. Let's name this just meatball. That's fine. Boom, meatball. I'm gonna get confused naming things different. All right, we want to change the scale quite a bit, so I'm gonna go back to our move tool, bring it down here, and see what it kind of looks like in this view. And we'll change the scale. There's two ways to kind of change the size of things. You can either change the actual scale, or before you put it in, if you have something like massive, you can also come in here and raise this pixels per unit. No, it's just gonna make your object smaller. Basically, that's it. Basically, this looks pretty good. That looks like a pretty good size to me, I think. All right, we're gonna leave it right there. Cool. Now we need something else. We need, first of all, the player to be able to detect when it hits the enemy. So let's set that up. Actually, let's not set that up. We're just going to name it enemy for now. We're going to do that in a bit. What we're going to do is make a spawner now. So I'm going to create empty, and this is going to be a spawner. Typically, how I set things up is I'll do game managers, and then I'll put like managers in here. I guess the spawner is kind of a manager, so boom. Huzzah, we have the spawner. Spawner script. This is just going to spawn the little meatballs that we have. So what we're going to do is save this meatball as a prefab. To save things as a prefab, we're just gonna make a folder, prefabs, and it's spelled wrong, of course, as you should, and then we're gonna drag the meatball inside of it. Now we have our prefab, and all prefab is an object that you can drag in and straight from your project, and it has your built-in stuff like your collider, your script, all of that good stuff on it. So amazing. In Spawner, our script, we're gonna get that prefab. That way we can basically make it spawn these objects. So actually, we might use start. I might use that. Maybe I might use it. And here, let's just start with a public variable for our game object, because we know we want to get the meteors. So we'll just go game object meteor. In our inspector, what we can do is drag in our prefab from our prefabs folder. We're going to hit our spawner, lock that window so I don't exit out by accident, and then just drag the prefab right in. Boom, huzzah, we have it. Now our script can access the meteor. Amazing. So to instantiate an object, I'll just show you in here. We just go instantiate and then meteor. Okay, instantiate takes in vector3 position, so our location. We'll say for this case, we're just gonna do our vector3. Let's just spawn it in the middle of the screen so you can see kind of what it looks like. We'll do 0, 0, 0, and then over here we can do our boom, huzzah. So now when the script starts, it's just gonna spawn a single object in the middle of the screen. Huzzah, it spawned it, amazing. Now obviously we're not gonna be calling this here, so let's move it to, make a new one. Void spawn meteor. And then we can do a timer. Whoa, what did I do? This one, we'll make it public just because I want to play with it like a little bit, and we'll probably make it not public later. So it's gonna be a public float, and then we'll just go like timer. Cool. And we can set this equal to spawn one every 1 second for now, because, you know, that seems fine. Thoughts. Use them. Thinking. This is gonna be based on our frame rate, right? So that's fine. Whatever. Timer minus equals, and then we're gonna go time.time. Cool. If timer is less than 0, then we're just gonna spawn meteor. Neat. In here we can grab our instantiation method and boom. And let's check it out. See if this even exists. Oh, in here we want to set our timer back to, let's go timer interval, and then here we'll do a new timer, just being an int. So, oh, I see what's happening. So funny. Cool. Oh, this is the first time we instantiate it, so we're gonna make this equal to time interval. Nice. And then our timer equals our time interval after all that happens. I don't know why I got like really confused for some reason, but so we set it at the beginning? No. Just sets it every time. Let's just move this to the start for now, and then in here we'll just go timer. It's yelling at me. Okay, so this can just set our default timer, and then immediately on the first frame, it's going to run spawn meteor. And it's going to set our timer equal to time interval and slowly subtract seconds from it until it spawns another meteor. So every 1 second, it should spawn a meteor. Let's see if it works and exists. That was like way more painful than it should have been, but all right. Surely we get better. Okay, so it's spawning infinite. Amazing. So good. So it's because we're doing update. In fixed update, it will exist much better, or we can use our time.delta time. Which takes us out of the frame rate dependence. Because it's based on frame rate, and I'm getting probably a goddamn billion frames on this thing. It's just spawning them instantly. Every second it spawns now. Huzzah. Now we just want a random range from basically the top of the screen. From the left side right here. So what is that? That is our negative 8. We'll go negative 8.5 and then positive 8.5. Cool. Nice. Let's do on start for our spawner. Actually, we're gonna do it every time in here. I'm gonna make an int for random index. And this is where we're just gonna basically set this equal to a random number. And we don't want it as an int, we want it as a float because it's using the transform space on our x, right? So this is between negative 8.5, I think we said, and 8.5. Cool. For some reason, it was calling this from Unity Mathematics, which I don't care for. Fine, whatever. So now we have a random index, and then in here, this is our spawn location right here. So we're just going to switch our x to our... What have we done? We're going to switch our x to our random index. Now it's going to randomly choose a location on our x-axis between negative 8.5 and 8.5. We're going to set our y to, I think it was 4.5 was the top of our screen. So to make sure they spawn outside of the screen, we're just going to set it to let's set it to 8. Cool. Nice, dude. Wow, they're spawning, but problem, I go right through them. Yay. So, we are going to do a couple of things here. We need to make sure our player gets destroyed if he touches one. So, or loses health or whatever we want. In this case, I think we'll just make him get destroyed because it's going to be easy for me to do. Health is still really easy, but I don't know if I want him to really have that kind of health. So, in here, we're going to use a built-in Unity function. I'm not sure what I set my player up as, if it was on trigger enter or a collider. But, by the way, these are broken shortcuts for me, and it's only these. I don't know if anybody has a solution to that. But even when it autofills, it still does this, which is very confusing. Like, what is that? Yay. Alright, so if our player collides with another game object that... So here it passes in... This passes in the object that it's colliding with. So we're going to get that tag from the other object. So the collider on the other game object get their tag, and that tag that we set for our meteors was enemy. I'm pretty sure, or maybe we just set our player one up. I don't remember. And then here we'll just say destroy our game object, which is fine. Yeah, cool. And you know what? We'll also destroy the other meteor. So we'll get the parent object of the collider, which is the collision, and the parent object is the meteor. So we'll get that meteor object and destroy it. Here, maybe we'll play a particle effect. Explosion effect. Huzzah. And then we will play game over screen. So let's make our game over screen. It's just going to be like a pretty simple thing going on. We'll just do a public game object and then game over. Neat. And here, we're going to do What did I name it? Game over. Game over. Dot set active. True. This turns it on. Neat. And we'll make a game manager turn it off at the beginning. So to make sure that that's constantly off every time the player starts, we want to make sure that that is never on at the beginning, because that would be unfortunate. And then we'll create that later, and then destroy things. With particle explosion effect, we can make that pretty easy. Let's do a public particle system. I'm just gonna name it PS. And then in here, we're gonna do our instantiate that we used earlier, and we're gonna do our particle system, the thing that we want to instantiate, and then add our game object dot position. We're gonna use transform dot position, vector 3, and then it can just be its own thing. It doesn't matter that much for rotation wise. It's gonna start on however we make the prefab. Cool. Let's make our game over screen and the prefab for it. I guess the things. So in here we're gonna go UI and we're gonna create a new canvas. Everything for UI that the player sees, like health and stuff, is gonna be in here. So I'm not gonna make separate ones. You would make separate ones sometimes if you're doing like raycast stuff, but we don't have like complex inventory systems or anything like that. So it's fine. In here, I'll just create an empty so we can keep things organized, and this is just going to be game over. This is our game over screen. So, UI, give ourselves a new panel to work with. And then, our panel's going to be up here. I like to set this to scale with screen size. That way it's always going to be the same. There's our panel that we're working with. So you can see our canvas is this whole thing. And then our... That's really weird. All right. This is our little panel. We can make it bigger if we want to. Let's just see if I can resize this to be... I'm thinking like, we kind of want to see like the space stuff in the background. So maybe like up to this little box right here. Somewhere around there. I think that's fine. And I'm just going to zero it out to make sure it's centered and everything. That's in the top right. This is our little game over screen. Let's see what it looks like. Kind of like that. Cool. Cool. In here, in our panel, we are going to create a UI text. We're just going to use default text for now. Import these. It's really easy to download fonts on the Text Mesh Pro. It's so easy, I promise. But for now, we'll just use the default text, because, you know, why not? The goal was a simple game, right? Move this up a little bit. Boom, game over. We have it. It exists. And we're going to create another thing that's a button. This is going to be like replay. So that you can replay the game. Am I blind? There it is. Button! And then the button comes with two components. It comes with a Text Mesh Pro one, and we can just type in replay here. Boom. And then it looks kind of bad, so I'm going to change the color to, change the alpha of the color down a little bit. That way it's not as annoying to look at. And I think that the game over thing just, like, I don't know, I said that we can do all of this, so I don't want to go too crazy on it. We'll just give it a nice little outline. Just a little bit. Yeah. Ooh. Looks pretty good. So now we need a way to restart the game. So let's make a game manager, and we're just naming it Game Manager, because why not? Add component. This is going to be our game manager script. This can manage some things for us, for sure. In here, the game manager is the only one with this script. So what we're going to do is do a private static, public static game manager instance. This makes it so we can access this script from pretty much every other script, which is really nice, because then for objects that are like the Meteor constantly being built and stuff, you don't want to put references in every single script or every single thing, and you already have the reference in here, you can call it there. And this one is just kind of our solo. So we're gonna go public game object, and we'll do game over. Cool. Nice. In here, void game over. And we want to make this public, that way everybody can access it, like buttons and stuff, because your buttons won't be able to access it if it's not like that. This needs to be lowercase. Boom. Cool. In here, what we're going to do is the same thing. That we're just moving the code basically from our other one over to this one, so it's a little bit makes more sense, and it lets me show you guys kind of how to use an instance like this. So in here, when we call the on collision and we get this game over screen, instead of this, what we're going to do is call the function from our game manager instance, like we set up, and then we're going to call our game over, which is the capital G1. Of course, I would name it the same thing. Why wouldn't I? Boom. And we're not passing anything in, so we don't need to put anything in the parentheses. It's fine. So now when we die, it's going to play this. It's going to turn that to true. On our start, let's use, maybe we'll use start at some point, but let's use awake for this. We're just going to make sure our game over is set to false. That way it's not active. Cool. So on the start, we make sure it's set to false, and then we can come in here and make a you win. I don't know if the player will be able to win. I think they're just going to go till they die. Yeah, I think we just go till they die. So we don't need that. What was the other thing I was doing? You guys remember? I sure don't. I think I put something in player controller that told me, right? Particle system. Let's make that. Script error on collision enter 2D. You want to tell me what the script error is? Okay, so this is because it autofilled weird. And it's actually collision 2D for a trigger, not collider 2D or whatever it was. We can name this collision. We'll keep that just so I don't have to retype it. But normally you'd name this collider here, collision, based on whatever you do. Didn't I want trigger here? Isn't that why I had it set up? I'm pretty sure I had it set up as a trigger. Alright. And normally you'd name this collider for on trigger enter, and for collision you name it collision. But we're backwards right now because I don't want to rename things. It's fine. Nice, errors away. When we hit play, our game over screen should disappear, but it won't because I didn't assign it in game manager. So let's go to game manager and make sure we assign our game over screen. Cool. Oh, got hit. The variable PS has not been installed. That is our particle system. Let's make it real quick. We're going to come into our effects and get a new particle system. And in here, let's see what it looks like. It kept our values from the other one. That's so cool of it. That's so cool that it did that, because I don't want that at all. Oh, no, it didn't. It's just in a weird spot. Cool. Now we're back in a screen that's actually on our game. And here we're going to switch our shape to have a sphere, circle. Okay, it's flipped for some reason. That's fine. I don't know why it's flipped. Cool. We're going to make our emission rate way more. We make our start size a little lesser, because right now it looks crazy. Crazy. Let's make it like a similar color to kind of what we were working on, which was like Let's grab our color. And we're just gonna change the opacity. All right, cool. It's looking like a thing. It sure is. For our radius thickness, I don't really want a radius thickness. Just make it all start in the same spot. Start size. Cool. Max particles, go 500. We want it to look like a quick burst, basically. That looks pretty good. It looks like we have a little burst going on. So whenever it hits, boom, burst. Whee! Cool. All right. That's good enough for me if it's good enough for you guys. And you can play around with it as much as possible. You make something much better than that, I'm sure. I believe in you fully. Explosion. And we're gonna drag this into our prefabs, and then in our player, or in our meteor, our meet the ball. Where did I put it? In player. Ah, I put it in here. Interesting. Interesting. So this instantiates our particle effect at our game object.transform, and we want it at our collision.gameObject.transform. That way it's at our actual meteor that hit us and not us, right? Fair enough. Sounds good. Cool. All right, in our player, we can assign this. Boom. And we don't need game over assigned anymore in our player controller because we call that from the game manager. Nice. We have an error. Object reference not set to. Let's find out what's wrong by asking AI, because sometimes that's what you do. Oh, never mind. I remembered before AI gave me the answer. I win. In here, for the instance to actually work on awake, this is why I added the awake function in, and I literally just didn't do it. But we need to set our instance. So instance equals this. Boom. Sometimes you would do something more complicated, like if instance is not null, then instance is this, or if if instance is null, then instance is this. If instance is not null, then destroy this one. That way there's not two of the same object, but we literally have one of the same object. There's only one object in here with the script on it. So now, because we actually set up our instance, it will be able to call it. It's going to be like an active thing in the menus in the game. Oh, boom, game over. We hit replay and it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Because we didn't set it up. So let's come in our game manager and we can go make a public void restart function. And then in here, we want to get our scene manager dot load scene. Then we can get our active scene. Okay, so this needs dot name at the end of it. Cool. In here, we're going to grab our button from our game over panel and we're going to feed it. We're going to feed it. It's hungry. It needs to be fed our game manager because our game manager is the one with the script attached that says restart. Cool. That's just going to reload our scene, basically. Oh, replay. Oh, replay. Wow, it works. We done did it. Huzzah. We have a very basic thing going on here now. Cool. What else do we want to add to our game? It's playable. We won. We beat the game. We exist. That explosion at the beginning, by the way, is just our explosion right here, which we can delete because we don't use it anymore. And our initial meatball that's on the screen, we also don't need. And now we just dodge meatballs. Ooh. This is probably all of the work I'm actually going to put into this game right now. But for next steps, I would say if you want to take this game further and like publish it or whatever, I would say maybe a health bar. Like the actual version that we made had health bars, had power-ups, you shot forks, you could shoot a laser beam that needed to charge up, and based on how many meteors you shot down, it would charge up a laser. That would clear the path. We would have different levels, so it would get exponentially faster, and then we realized that it was getting too fast and it was impossible, so what we did was make it so it didn't do that, basically. And once you got to a certain level, then it would start to play like a different level or give you a different power-up before things got harder to really instantiate difficulty before the boss. And even like some custom design levels where we'd use a tracer, so it'd spawn like the entire screen full of meteors, and then we'd take a tracer and basically do a little pathway, and that would create a spot that you have to follow exactly. So you can create some dynamic stuff there. When you got, I think you had 3 lives, we used the rocket ship sprite itself to represent the 3 lives in the top right hand corner, and then every time you got hit, it would basically take one of the lives away and explode the meteor and give you some iframes. If you know what iframes are, that's basically invincibility. This is just something small. I was like, hey, let's do that. That seems easy, and you know, it's all about quantity sometimes, so helps me out to just do stuff. And hopefully you guys learned something or explored a little bit. But yeah, I'll throw the assets somewhere if you want to just make this game or play around with it. But yeah, this is what we have now. Cool. Oh, a score would be good too. A score would be pretty easy. You know what? Do we want to do a score? Nah, let's not do a score. I don't care enough. Cool. Thanks for watching. If you did, I know I did preface with this is not a tutorial. I'm just walking you through my thought process and exactly what I'm doing. So if it's complete like clown material, then so be it. But at the same time, it's me learning how to do it, and you guys can learn and play with me. So hope you enjoyed it, and we'll do it again sometime. We also live stream game jams every week, so if you want to hang out on my Twitch channel, Croptagon, come vibe with me. Much love. Bye, everybody.